We're up. Mike Baker, what a good time to talk to you. What a good time to have you in.
What a fine time.
There's so much chaos.
There's
so much
up.
madness.
Oh, my God.
Did you see the South Park episode?
Which one?
They did a Donald Trump one with Satan.
No.
It's fucking hilarious.
I got it. I love the show. Is fantastic. I raised my 3 boys on that show, much to my wife's horror. But it's a great show, but I haven't seen that episode.
When you think, like Bridget Fedesi had a funny quote, like when you think that they have reached the bottom of the highest level of not giving a fuck, they reach unseen levels. The Epstein thing is so crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and him saying, like, what do you care? Why does everybody care about Epstein? Like,
well, that's it. Yeah, but it is. Look, I mean, although, again, going back to South Park, once they did the Woodland Creatures episode all those years ago, you thought, okay, that's got to be the worst they can get.
Which one was the Woodland Creatures
one? Oh, my
one?
God. You got to look it up. It's fantastic. I'm not going to do it justice if I try to explain what it's about.
Well, remember when they did the gay teacher where you had a whore off with Paris Hilton? He stuffed her up his ass.
This was the other one.
Oh, God.
Critters. They're all cussing and...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one. Yeah.
That was 17 years ago.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck, dude.
No.
They haven't given a fuck since the beginning, and it's the greatest show of all time.
Yeah. And honestly, if you said, what would be the best job that you could have imagined, it would be being one of those 2 guys.
Yeah, they're killing it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, it's so beautiful because they have cartoons, and you could do things with cartoons you could never do with real people.
Yeah.
You can kill them, they can fuck each other, they can stick things up their ass.
Yeah,
like,
gets
anything
that
can
alien
happen.
probe. Yeah.
Anything can happen because, and it's also, they're not realistic cartoons, so it's like you're somehow or another detached from it.
Yeah. No, they and if they did a documentary one time. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, yeah.
Where they tracked the 6 days it takes them to make the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
This Trump bit with Satan.
Satan's back.
Satan's upset at Trump. It's very funny.
Well, you remember the Satan and Diddy episode? Although that was fantastic.
I
too.
didn't see that one.
Oh, the Satan Diddy episode, and then they had
When was that? Is that Reason?
Mass murderers, and no, this was a few years back too. It was a Diddy party, and he wanted to. Yeah, it's a long story. He wanted a Lamborghini cake, but it was just like the devil wanted it, and they said no. Diddy did it already, and it's fantastic.
Remember when they had the movie with Saddam Hussein?
Yes.
And Saddam Hussein was in a gay relationship with Satan.
Oh, God. We could spend the entire time. People are like, oh, they're going to talk about this the whole time? But, yeah.
The Epstein stuff is so crazy because when Kash Patel was on here and he was like, there's nothing. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to say. My thought was, and people are like, why didn't you push back more? My thought was like, I'm just going to put this out there and let the internet do its work because there's nothing I can. The guy's saying there's no tapes, there's no video. That doesn't make any sense. Everyone knows it doesn't make any sense. And then he didn't know about the Michael Baden stuff, the autopsy stuff, where it showed that he had 3 broken bones in his neck, which never happens when you hang yourself. Even when you like leap from somewhere with a rope around your neck and it snaps your neck, you never have 3
and he's
broken
in a prison
bones.
cell. He's not launching himself off the first floor balcony.
The whole thing was nuts. And then he's like, well, we have a film. We're going to release that film. And the film has a fucking minute missing from it.
Yeah.
Like, do you think we're babies? Like, what is this?
Also, you got people, including Dan Bongino, right, making bank for a couple of years talking about how awful it is, and we got to get this shit, and this is a huge conspiracy, and then you release a 2-page memo that says, there's nothing to see here.
Yeah, because you're walking by your bedroom window and you see a little laser, red laser moving across your chest.
Yeah, but it really is. It's so look. You know me, I'm not a conspiracy guy by
you
nature.
are today.
But I am today. Today, I'm fully on board with this shit.
Everybody's in today.
Yeah, no, but they're actually doing right as we speak, and I find this fascinating. Is that the Assistant Attorney General, Todd Blanche, is down in Florida for an interview with Ghislaine Maxwell. Right? And she's serving 20 years in a Florida prison for sex trafficking. Right?
To who, though?
What's that?
To who?
Well, he's down there to interview her.
But I'm saying she's sex trafficked to
who? She was a co-conspirator of Epstein's, right?
But don't you have to have a person who you're sex trafficking to?
Exactly. And they talked about the victims somewhat during her trial. It was it was a very difficult trial in the sense of, they're trying to protect certain victims and others were coming forward. But, my surprise was nobody from DOJ has ever, according to her legal team, nobody has ever interviewed her from DOJ. Right? So, Department of Justice. So this is the first time the Department of Justice, you're telling me, and meanwhile, up on Capitol Hill, you've got Democrats like Adam Schiff and others going, we have got to release these fucking files. They had 4 years under the previous administration, right?
Yeah.
Look, everybody's fucked in this situation, but they had all that time to do whatever they wanted to do. And nobody, up until this point, apparently has talked to her. Now, you know, some folks on the legal side are saying, well, look, if she had anything interesting to say, she would have said it during the course of her trial, right, to save herself or to cut a deal.
No.
But now
I don't think so.
I don't.
They'll kill her.
Yeah. Well,
the smartest thing for her to do is to keep her fucking mouth shut, which is what she did.
Right.
They put her in a cushy prison where she could do yoga.
Yeah. Yoga in prison. That doesn't sound good.
Here's one of my favorite ones. I'm gonna send you this, Jamie, because somebody tweeted this and it's just so perfect. And it just shows you how crazy this whole thing has been, like, from the very beginning. This is someone tweeted this from the Atlantic, and this is what's funny about this. Check this out, Jamie. So it's these fucking people. It's like they all knew her. They all knew him. So many people knew him and knew her, and they're all pretending that they didn't, and no one knew it. Check this out. This is the Atlantic says. Scroll, go up, Baker, so we can see it. So we can see the quote below it. Below it.
I'm trying. I zoomed.
No, go back.
No, I know. I zoomed it.
There we go. I can't read it. There it goes. This is what the Atlantic posts. If the Epstein scandal teaches us anything, it's that America needs a dedicated and decently funded group of people whose job it is not to just ask questions, but to find answers. And then this guy, Sean Davis, posts, the woman on the right is Ghislaine Maxwell. She trafficked children for Jeffrey Epstein. The woman on the left owns your magazine. This is so fucking wild.
Yeah.
Just that alone is so wild that they would have the balls to post that. We need dedicated journalists, not just people asking questions, which is like, for sure, an attack on podcasts. Like, listen, you guys didn't do shit.
Yeah.
You didn't do shit. So just the fact that we're just asking questions along with that, or is this a knock on the defunding of PBS, which is essentially a propaganda network for the Democratic Party?
Yeah, which is now being apparently, we'll see if that happens, but apparently being defunded. But yeah, look, everybody's worried now, right? No, at first it was like, okay, again, I go back a handful of years. Nobody was pushing for this, right? Because you got people from all sides probably on whatever that list looks like, whatever that Epstein file looks like, whoever was involved. You got people from all sides of the spectrum here going on. And so everybody's worried. So it looked like, all right, you know, there's kind of this bizarre bipartisan moment where we're not going to push for this, really. We're not going to make a big effort here. We're not sending anybody from DOJ. The Dems aren't, during the Biden administration, calling for the release of the files. Now, all of a sudden, they smell, you know, blood in the water and a particular, you know, political motivation here. So let's get these files out. And, you know, nobody's going to look good from this. But I would caution some, you know, just because a name might be in a file, no matter whose it is, right, doesn't necessarily mean there's nefarious activity. It could be like any police file, right, that says, okay, the individual stopped at this particular location and this person was there. Doesn't mean they're connected to something awful. They weren't fucking underage girls. Maybe they were if they're in the file, right? But I'm just saying there's a lot of people probably in that file that are going to be named, if it ever comes out, who may or may not have been engaged in illegal activity, but just release the goddamn things. Yeah,
there's probably a lot of people who just went there. Did I send you that thing where this guy was breaking? Did I say NPR or PBS earlier? I meant NPR. Did I send you that link where this guy's breaking down all the different tweets that the lady who is the CEO of NPR made?
I don't think so.
Because she's getting questioned on whether or not she's biased, and then this guy like goes over all the different tweets. God damn it! I know I saved it, but I should have been prepared. I know I have it in here because it's so funny. It's so funny listening to her. See if you can find. You might be able to find it.
I just think I just found it.
But of course,
you found it. Beautiful. Because it's so adorable.
Hold on.
This pretending that this was an unbiased news source.
Yes.
This directly from her own account.
Well, this is one of them, but this one guy broke it down.
Sorry.
Maybe I sent it to Dave Smith. We'll find it.
Yeah, but again, anybody who at this stage of the game thinks that the media, doesn't have an agenda, that they're not complicit in one way or another with whatever may be, come on.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's a joke, and they're all funded. And the fact that the government was funding NPR is crazy.
Yeah.
Like this, you can't have a completely biased, one-sided media organization that's funded by the government and taxpayers. That's crazy. And they went over all the amount of people that were on NPR that were Democrats, and it's 100%.
Yeah,
It's like out of 87 people, it's 100%.
So look at the New York Times.
Yeah.
I mean, so that none of that should be a surprise to anybody who's
But the New York Times is
paying
at least
half of
a
mine.
privately funded company.
Right,
I mean,
right.
it's like NPR relied on tax money,
Yeah.
and there's this giant outrage that the government's going to defund it. Like,
Well, a lot, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to couch it as saying, look, you're taking away, the only source of news for, rural locations, for example. Like you got someplace up in North Dakota that, has no other access, and so they rely on NPR for their news. I don't know a lot of people up in North Dakota that say, I wonder what NPR is saying about this.
well, not just that, but it's like at the end of the day, the reality is the internet exists,
Yeah.
and we don't need. You don't need to publicly fund something that's clearly biased
Right.
when the internet exists.
Right.
You can get whatever you want. If you want to just absorb and consume only left-wing media, there's so much available.
Right.
You can go find it. But our tax dollars should not be going to that.
No. And to be fair, if anybody wants to know what the hell's going on in the news, they can just listen to the President's Daily Brief podcast, frankly.
Oh, your podcast.
I'm good,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that's
your
some.
thing.
Yeah, boy, I just stuck that in there.
I can't find this fucking thing.
Yeah.
Did you find it?
As far as you can
Let's hear it.
show me a story
here
that
it is.
concerns you. That's fantastic.
As far as the accusations that we're biased, I would stand up and say, please show me a story that concerns you, because we want to know and we want to bring that conversation back to our newsroom.
And then they have all these.
And then all this fat phobia, its racist past and present. Some white people may choose thumbs up because it feels neutral, but some academics argue that opting out, what does that mean? Thumbs up signals lacks
Yeah.
awareness about white privilege, akin to society associating whiteness with being raceless. What?
God.
What does that mean?
Or how about how racism became a marketing tool for country music?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
God.
This right-wing conspiracy theory about eating bugs is about as racist as you think. No, that's like literally. This is. And here's another great quote that she said. If you look on the right side, Jamie, where it says the truth is a distraction from getting things done. That is such a fucking Orwellian thing to say. Click on that just so you can hear her say this, because it's so bananas that someone would say this out loud and not think it's.
One of the most significant differences, critical for moving from polarization to productivity, is that the Wikipedians who write these articles aren't actually focused on finding the truth.
Oh, no.
They're working for something that's a little bit more attainable, which is the best of what we can know right now. And after 7 years there, I actually believe that they're onto something. That for our most tricky disagreements, seeking the truth and seeking to convince others of the truth isn't necessarily the best place to start. In fact, I think our reverence for the truth might have become
What?
a bit of a distraction that is preventing us from finding consensus and getting important things done.
What?
Oh, my
What?
God.
How
That's fantastic. I
wild
love that.
is that?
Yeah.
And you want government money. That is
Yeah.
such a wild
Yeah.
thing to say.
Going for the truth as a journalist, no.
It's not important.
No, it's not
it's
important.
It's a distraction.
It's
the truth
not.
is a distraction.
You know what I hate? I hate that, and you see that all the time, and I don't know whether that's a TED Talk or not, but as soon as I see that type of forum where they're earnestly standing there and they've got their little mouthpiece there around there and they're talking and they're looking out into the distance and you think, oh, climb out of your own fucking ass, right? It's just awful.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I don't like any of those things.
Yeah.
I don't like that little Bobby Brown microphone either. Unless
Is
you're
that
on
what
stage.
the Bobby Brown.
Remember?
Yeah, I remember.
We used to sing with that.
Yeah,
Every little step I take.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. That's step on your line. I'll join in for the chorus.
I don't like those little microphones. Hold the microphone like a real fucking human. That's a madness. That video clip is madness. That's a piece of madness. That's a crazy thing to say.
I will
the
say-
truth gets in the way. Like,
I will say that the Epstein situation is going to be so disappointing to so many people now because I have this theory that nothing ever gets done in Washington, D.C., right? Investigations go to die there. Nothing ever happens. There's never any real consequences of any nature. And we got all sorts of things happening right now, right? So the Epstein case is just one of them. But right now you've got the Dems focused on Epstein because, they see there's just a good opportunity here to go after Trump, regardless of who else is in the files, right? And the Dems, I think, were worried for quite some time and didn't pursue it because, years back they were thinking, okay, Clinton's going to be embarrassed. We don't want that.
Right.
So, again, my point would be just release everything. I don't understand how, if you just look at the way that they handled this logistically, whoever thought, because the mob wants to eat, right? And they've been throwing red meat to the mob about Epstein files now for years.
It's part of how they got elected.
Right. And so whoever in their communications group or in their strategic thinking arena in the administration thought, that we can get away with just saying there's nothing to see here, they should be fired, right? Because there's no way you can satisfy this mob. And now the mob is oddly bipartisan because it's got the Dems and it's got, part of the base of Trump in there.
Yeah.
And they're all, screaming to have this. God damn it, just release this shit. Otherwise, this is going to be around like Martin Luther King and John F. Kennedy. And
well, that's what's crazy. They did release more Martin Luther King documents, which is really crazy. Like, why are you holding secrets about the murder of one of the most beloved historical figures of all time from 1968?
Part of that is a family
request.
It? Yeah, part of that's a family request. The family has asked, in the past on a number of occasions, they really don't want some of this because some of it's salacious about, Martin Luther King, which doesn't take away from everything that he did, right, as a leader of a cause and a movement. But some of it is,
extramarital affairs.
Yeah.
Things along
so
those
there's
lines.
been some push to be concerned about that. But yeah, now do the Epstein files.
Well, they'll do it in the same amount of time, 56 years from now.
Yeah.
Just like they did with him. It's 56 fucking years later they released this stuff.
And we're still not any closer to, I mean, again, I don't want to disappear down that rabbit hole, but we're still not any closer with Martin Luther King. I'm, again, not a conspiracy guy except today, apparently, but there's shit there.
Well, you've said multiple times that if there's one that you think looks really bad, it's that one.
It's that one. But I going back to, I know I'm bouncing around here, but going back to the Epstein thing, I don't understand how they handled this so poorly, right? For Pam Bondi to come out and talk about the files and oh my God, and then like within a blink of an eye, they come out with this bullshit Sunday night memo saying there's nothing to see.
Do you think there's just a lack of coordination?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do.
that makes sense.
I think it's a messaging problem is always kind of a key element of the Trump administration, whether it's this one or not. And now, look, that's not I'm not knocking a lot of the policies. I like a lot of the policies that come out of this administration. This one in the previous, the first administration. But I'm just saying, a hallmark of a Trump administration is the ability to have a self-inflicted wound, shoot yourself in the foot because of messaging, usually, right?
Right.
So I think they've done it again, and I don't see how they walk this back. They're trying to, I think, with this interview with Ghislaine Maxwell to say, look, we're trying, we're talking to her,
But how does Pam Bondi say we have thousands of hours of footage, and then Kash Patel says we don't have anything that you're looking for?
Yeah.
And then Tim Dillon said he has lunch with J.D. Vance, and J.D. Vance says that 10,000 hours is commercial pornography.
Right. Yeah. You think this freak show of Epstein wasn't like, it didn't have hidden cameras or wasn't taped and shit? Or what?
100%.
I mean, come on.
So, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing about that house they had in New York City, which is, by the way, for sale. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, nobody wants to buy it. Like, you want to buy Epstein's house?
Do the cameras convey?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, you got to gut the walls. How are you going to know what the fuck is in there?
Yeah.
Imagine you're walking around your house naked and you think that the CIA is or your organization, or whoever it is.
To be fair, the agency's
Mossad,
got a lot of hours of videotape of me walking around naked.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But Mossad, whoever it is that was involved in this intelligence gathering, I mean, I'm just guessing. I have no idea. Yeah. But there's fucking pinhole cameras all over that house.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you have to start from that perception, right? Because again, if anything else, you're just being naive if you think, no, there's nothing. Again,
you got to take it down to the bare beams.
Yeah.
You got to strip the wallboard off. You got to fucking every baseboard. You got to pull everything.
It's like
Who
we
fucking knows what's in that house.
We had a situation in Moscow one time where we're building. It was the new embassy, the U.S. embassy in Moscow, right? And for some reason, part of the deal was to allow Russian contractors to work on the construction of this. What the fuck, So, but it's a government thing, and so you can imagine. There's to your point. There's not a lot of coordination. So, the Russian contractors thinking, oh, this is great. We're helping to construct the U.S. embassy. And they know there's going to be sensitive areas within there, the station, for the agency and other areas. Anyway, at a certain point, they're just about finished with construction. And just not by happenstance, I mean, there were efforts to try to examine what the Russians were doing, right? So the security side of things, they were concerned about the fact that the Russians were working on it. You had the State Department and others that were like, no, it's a good idea. It helps with diplomacy. So the security guys were doing things. They were X-raying, parts of materials that were coming in for the construction. Apparently, at one point, what was going on was the Russians were installing listening devices inside the rebar, right, of the construction process, and apparently, at one point, they, one of the wires on one of these communications devices that was stuck in there had broken, and so they soldered it. The Russians did. They soldered it with aluminum, and that showed up when they were X-raying that particular large bit of material that they were going to install. And that was the way that they found out. And they said, what the fuck? Then they had to tear the entire goddamn thing down. I forget it. I think it was 2 or 3 different floors of this embassy. They had to remove, bit by bit, shipped it back to the States to examine fully. And it was just loaded with listening devices by the Russians, right? So it's going to be the same long story short, it's the same at Epstein's place.
100%.
You've got to tear it down.
Yeah. It's a nice house, too. And it's like right on the park.
Yeah. Well,
and I was like, wonder why that's still for sale. And then
what are they
I found
asking for it, do you think?
I think it's like 60 or 70 million.
Oh, I might
Jamie
look at
can
it.
find it. It's pretty
sold
dope.
in 2021 for 51 million.
Holy shit.
But it's for sale now, though, right?
That I didn't see.
I'm pretty sure it's for sale right now.
I wonder if it gets a premium because it's Epstein's place. Like a celebrity premium for a home. I wonder if that's the case.
You'd have to be a fucking complete psycho to want to live in that guy's house.
The same guy's going to buy Diddy's spot. Yeah. I don't know what the
fuck.
God, but there's so you've got the Epstein thing going on.
Like, how does that get resolved? This is the question. Like, if you're the administration, you're looking at this puzzle and you're trying to figure out how to make this a PR win.
Too late for that.
What the fuck can you do at this point?
Holy
is it for
shit.
sale?
65 mil 2 years ago, it says.
Holy shit!
It's not for sale right now.
Not according to Zillow.
0 bedrooms, only 1 bath.
Well,
that's not a very nice place. What the hell?
It's just one big fuck hall.
It's just, we call it the playroom. And
This is the
look
house?
At that.
Pretty-
Oh my
Yeah,
God! It looks like a
Fucking
Saudi
dope
owns
place.
it.
$65 million in Manhattan.
What the hell?
The wild thing is, though, it's like right on the street. Like, anybody can come to your door and just knock on your door, like walking by.
Yeah, Prince Andrew.
It's weird. Living there is weird.
Yeah, look at
Look at
look at that.
Meanwhile, no one can explain where he got the money. No one can
What
explain
a
why he got
freak
so
show.
rich. And Eric Weinstein, who is a legit financial guy, said he talked to him. He had a meeting with him once. He's like, it was really clear that he's a construct. He's like,
Yeah.
he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
That's not for sale right now?
That didn't say it was.
Oh.
It's listed on Zillow, but not for sale. It's like everything's still on Zillow, kind of.
Oh. Like it was for sale.
Yeah.
Look it up. and see.
Maybe there's another service that's because sometimes Zillow doesn't have all the stuff because someone I know was looking at it.
Yeah, maybe it's on cheap old houses. That's a good site. Yeah.
It's a bargain.
It's a fixer-upper, though. Yeah.
But like you'd have to go through that house. You'd have to hire like the top of the food chain security experts to go, and they would probably recommend you take that house apart.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could do it's called a sweep of the thing, and but that's not going to guarantee, right?
No.
You really have to pull the walls down and look because I again. Maybe I'm wrong. There's never say never, but I can't imagine that a psycho like Epstein, wasn't enjoying videoing, some of the activity that was going on.
For sure.
Yeah. Anyway.
So what do you think from your perspective? What do you think that was all about? Who do you think was involved in that? Do you think it was the Mossad? Do you think it was some rogue intelligence agency in America? Was it a coordinated effort?
You know what? I know this. There's a lot of talk about. Did he have some sort of intel connection? Right.
Right.
That from my perspective, it's complete speculation. But I will say, like from an operational perspective, I have no idea. Was it Mossad? Was it anybody? Who knows?
Right.
But from an operational perspective, if you see a guy like this who's super connected and all the way back to 2008 was like his first trial, right? So he's had a long history of these problems. But if you know that he's kind of engaged in a variety of things, as an example, if I'm Chinese intel, right, and I just read the goddamn entertainment news, and there's these rumors and allegations of high-level people flying off to his island, I'm going to think that's interesting because potentially, if I could get an accessed source there, if I can get somebody right inside that operation, whether it's Ghislaine Maxwell or whether it's Epstein himself, whether it's somebody who's just on the outskirts of it. Maybe I'll start picking up some pretty interesting leverageable information on people that maybe I want to influence. Right?
And it's so funny to me that it's always comes down to like carnal needs and carnal desires.
Yeah.
It's always sex.
Yeah.
Because these guys, when you get to like this Bill Gates level and Bill Clinton level, you can't just go pick up gals at the bar.
Yeah,
You know
it's a
what I
little
mean?
tough. Yeah.
So
yeah.
if you're a super famous super freak, and you like chasing skirts, but you can't do it. Like, what do you do?
Well, you do what he did, right? Which is you get somebody to procure for you, which apparently was primarily Maxwell's job.
Yeah.
And she's out there, and she was described, usually as his girlfriend, but she was clearly operating as his pimp or whatever the female version of a pimp is.
Curator.
Curator, yeah, it's a curator.
Yeah.
And so he's, she's out there doing that. But look, again, I can't speak to the rumors about him working for one intel agency or another, but I will say, if I'm working for an intel agency and I see something like that, I might find that of interest, right?
Oh, for
and then
sure.
I would definitely go after somebody to see what's going on. Just if for no other reason than again, maybe it's a opportunity there.
Well, it's the easiest connect the dots puzzle
Right.
of all time.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
rich, powerful people and hot chicks and probably drugs.
Yeah.
And cameras.
Yeah,
Jeez.
and I tell you, the Russians love nothing better than, the truth. The reality is, in terms of recruiting an asset by using blackmail is tough, right? You gotta that window starts closing immediately, right? In terms of their operational usefulness, right? Because there's a lot of issues there, right? You're blackmailing somebody for their cooperation. At some point, that's going to go south on you, right? It's not like you've recruited somebody for ideological reasons, right? Or
Right.
even something as straightforward as like they need the money because their kid's sick or whatever it may be. So blackmail's right. But having said that, look, the Russians in particular love that, right? And Chinese intel, they'll do whatever works from their perspective. The agency, again, people are going to say that's bullshit. The agency tries, the blackmail is never really ever on the table as an option because it always leads to a problem. And sometimes those problems can be very, very bad. In terms of
In what way? What do you mean?
well,
by this?
the asset will turn on you, right? Next thing you know, you've got an agent working now, a double agent working for the other side, right? Because they're so fucked over by the fact that they've been blackmailed. And at some point, they lose their shit, decide to roll for the other side.
But
that you're
aren't
working
you like
against.
constantly monitoring them and looking at their phone?
There's only so much. No, not really. There's only so much you can do, right? In terms of maintaining, particularly with a hard target, particularly with an asset who's in a difficult or challenging environment, Chris, and you've got limited access to them, whatever it may be. So you're really relying on clandestine communications. You don't have a lot of face-to-face meetings. And at some point, you never know when things are heading south, right? And then the next thing you know, look, that. So that's the operational reason for trying to avoid blackmail, right? Has it ever been done? Well, sure, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it hasn't been done,
Of course.
but some services go to it much quicker than others do. Yeah.
And which services
And I
are
would
those?
well again the Russians are primary users of something like that. They've got a shotgun
Israelis?
approach. Yeah, Israelis have been known to do that in the honeypot operations that they'll do and other things. But the Russians throw a lot of shit at the wall and see what sticks. Right? It's a very much a shotgun approach. Right? And honestly, sometimes that can work. Right?
Wasn't
for
that
you.
kind of, if you thought about this island, if you're bringing award-winning scientists, famous people, politicians, world leaders, all to one place. You're basically throwing as much shit against the wall as you can.
Yeah.
And then you have all this stuff on all these different people, and they know it. And so then you just kind of wasn't there some CEO that had to step down because he wound up giving Epstein, it was found out that he gave Epstein $150 million that they couldn't explain why.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't that the case, Jamie? So it's one of those things where there's obviously value in having all these people on your side.
Yeah.
But when you do get all this information on these people, what are they trying to accomplish with it? This is the question. Are they trying to get support for Apollo CEO to step down after firm finds more payments to Jeffrey Epstein? $158 million. He paid the convicted sex offender $158 million.
What does it? If you can you scroll down a little bit, Jamie?
Yeah. Is planning to step down as chief. I've advised the Apollo board that I will retire as CEO before my 70th birthday in July. Remain as chairman. Oh, he's going to remain as a chairman. New York Times detailed at least $75 million in payments and found that Mr. Black had paid Epstein $158 million in a 5-year period ending in 2017. He also lent Mr. Epstein more than $30 million, only $10 million of which he was paid back. Wow. So that's a guy that they got something on him.
I love this. Leon viewed Epstein as a confirmed bachelor with eclectic tastes. This was after his 2008 guilty plea.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Mr. Epstein's advice was worth perhaps $2 billion in tax savings to Mr. Black, according to the report.
Right.
What the
But this
fuck?
this is what Weinstein said. Eric said that there's this guy is not. He's not good. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He wasn't a good financial advisor.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is you can say, okay, why was he collecting people around him? Why was he doing? I mean, was he keeping a file? Right, you still have to figure out what that file looks like. Part of it could have been initially self-preservation, right? I mean, he's engaged in all sorts of activity. He gets a few people into it, then suddenly, he doesn't look so bad, right? And he's kind of protecting himself because now I'm surrounded by people who also have to keep that secret, right? So, but then the question becomes, is at what point is he or somebody in his little tight circle there? Are they approached, right, by anybody who's interested in some of these folks? But we don't know because we don't know who the fuck's in these files, right? So,
or if the files even exist.
If the files even exist, and apparently, there's nothing in there according to Pam Bondi
and Cash Patel. The whole thing's nuts.
Yeah.
And then have Bongino and Cash Patel saying he definitely killed himself. What?
Yeah.
What? Okay, this just the level of convenience. It's so convenient that the guards were asleep. So convenient that the cameras didn't work. So convenient that years later you have a recording of the outside of the cell, but a minute is missing from it.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
3 minutes?
Yeah, they found out it was almost 3 minutes was missing. 2 minutes, 53 seconds.
It's like the missing Watergate tape.
Oh, I thought it was just 1 minute.
It did. It started off as a minute, and then people kept looking in the metadata, and are like, okay, it was saved this many times, and it was actually up to 3 minutes missing.
God. Okay.
That's plenty of time to kill somebody. 3 minutes is more than enough time.
3 minutes, you could get a whole bunch of people killed by then. Yeah.
You saw that guy that was his cellmate too, right?
Yeah.
Guy is a fucking gigantic human being.
Yeah.
A huge guy who was a mass murderer, who had killed multiple people, a bad cop, who was built like a brick fucking shithouse.
Yeah.
The kind of guy that you could really easily get to strangle somebody.
Yeah.
It would take him, I could kill him in 30 seconds.
Yeah. No.
How is this fucking giant dude could do it easy? Metadata from raw Epstein. No thanks.
Nope.
Metadata from raw Epstein prison video shows approximately 2 minutes and 53 seconds were removed from one of the 2 stitched together clips. The cut starts off at the missing minute. Wow.
Weird.
Yeah, shocker.
Yeah. So a guy like that decides, he's going to off himself. And again.
But here's the thing. It's like these guys that are all involved in this they've been around for a long time, and they have this mentality that existed before the internet, where you could just kind of put stuff out there.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have all these psycho sleuths out there that are going to go over everything with a fine-tooth comb, especially guys who are tech wizards who can look at the metadata and he can figure this kind of stuff out.
Well, shit died a lot quicker. You're right. So something would happen, and look, we still have ADHD, right? Collectively as a nation, right? I mean, things move on, and I think maybe that's what they're, some people are saying. Look, they've called the recess on Capitol Hill because they figure by the time they come back in September, everybody will have moved on from this, right?
Yeah.
I think they're wrong. I don't think this is again. This feels like and just looks like that one of those handful of conspiracies, again, you go to JFK or whomever, that's just going to hang around.
This
right?
is a line in the sand.
Yeah.
This one's a
Yeah.
line in the sand.
Yeah.
Because this is one where there's a lot of stuff about, when we thought Trump was going to come in and a lot of things are going to be resolved.
Yeah.
We're going to drain the swamp. We're going to figure everything out. And when you have this one hardcore line in the sand that everybody had been talking about forever, and then they're trying to gaslight you on that.
Well, you would have thought that
Is that your phone?
Yeah, I hope not. Oh, it's my wife. Should I answer?
Silent, buddy.
Yeah, it's on. It was on silent, but it still goes. How does that happen? It literally is on silent. And
Are you sure?
Yeah, no, I'm positive because it's got a little thing up top that says silent, and
Your
it
phone's
still
compromised.
goes. My phone is
CIA
compromised.
doesn't trust you. You're friends with me.
Well,
They don't trust you anymore.
They did call me this morning. What are you going to talk about? I don't know.
Do they ever talk to you about that? Do they ever have questions about your appearances here?
No. In fact, and I'm in the building on occasion, and we're actually working on a show that's going to be a great TV show based on this amazing museum that's inside agency headquarters. But nobody ever says that. They don't. We have a really nice relationship. They don't tell me what to say. If I go on TV to talk about something, they just like. It's not like they're going to call up and say, "Well, here's our view on this."
They trust you.
Yeah, they trust me. I'm not going to open my yap and talk sources and methods, and at the same time, I'm just going to try to just talk from an operational perspective. But yeah, so that was my wife, which reminds me, it's my boy Muggsy's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Muggsy.
Yeah, thank you very much.
With a thing like this, what is the general feeling about people that you talk to that are still in the agency or people that are still involved in the government? Like, how are they feeling about this? Because, like, the general public is outraged, right?
Yeah.
Do the people inside, are they frustrated? Like, people that wanted this stuff to be exposed?